It was tilted down.
Ah. Welcome back.
Welcome back. This is BS with Joe. So, I got a topic that I want to go over. Probably,
You've got like 7 topics there.
yeah. Well, these we've already talked about the last couple of episodes. So, 1776 and today, and I wrote this down like that. It's just shorthand
Okay.
because, so everybody's like, I know there's a lot of people, especially the left right now, are like, we need a civil war, we need a revolution, we need to stop Trump at all ends. And I listened to a YouTube video, and it was done very well. I can't recall who made it. I think it was, it's a gun channel, to be honest with you. And he was talking about what started the revolution.
The American Revolution?
The American Revolution.
12-cent tax.
Everybody says that. I believe it's guns.
Well, that was part of it.
Yeah, so...
That was definitely part of it.
Yeah. So the British sent...
It started with the tax.
Started with the tax.
And then the people started grumbling about that, and then the British government was like, well, wait a second, maybe we should take away their guns.
Right, and that's what led up to the revolution. But what actually started the war was going after the guns.
Well, yeah, because the British were coming into, I can't remember the name of the town, but there was a movie made about that battle, the first shots fired of the Revolution.
It was Lexington and Concord.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they were marching to collect guns,
Yep.
and they met the militia.
Yep. And they outnumbered the British militia.
Yeah. They got their butts kicked, but they did outnumber them.
Yeah. Well, they beat them enough to send them back.
The problem is the American militia at that time was completely unorganized, and they tried to stand face to face with the British Army.
Right. Well, the thing is also when we think about it, a lot of the Americans were also fighting wars with the British, with the French and Indian War.
Right, but still, I mean, farmers and their children, which literally had teenage boys standing next to their dads with a rifle that they only fired at game, and it just didn't end well.
It didn't end well. But
it didn't end the Civil War. Obviously, it started the
revolution.
It started the Revolutionary War, but that particular battle did not go well for us.
No, it did not. So, with that war, so a lot of people, if you do not know, the township, all the towns and colonies, they had their own militia. That's how that was their police, that was their fire department, that was everything they needed. It was community-based, community-driven. It was like their law enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, they usually had a county sheriff, but the city itself didn't have anything.
No. But if
Unless
there
you
was...
were in New York or Boston.
Right. But if there was like an Indian tribe attack or something like that, they gathered the militia to defend the town.
Right.
So, and that happened prior to the French and Indian War. And also the French would even invade some of these colonized towns because it was all different territories.
Just completely off topic, but do you know, trivia, do you know which country it was that was the first to recognize the United States as a government?
It was the French.
Morocco.
Morocco, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The French were the first to establish trade with the American colonies, but the first country to actually recognize the United States as a nation was Morocco.
I did not know that. I always thought it was the French.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So back to the topic.
Yes, sorry.
No, you're good. That's good information. But the Paul Revere's ride goes through. He's telling everybody the British are coming. The British are coming because they knew, one, if not by land, two, if by sea.
Right.
And Paul Revere did the ride.
Yeah.
To let all the militiamen know.
That whole story was quite embellished too, but
right. But it was also to let all the militiamen know
Yeah.
they're coming from which direction.
Yes.
And
Did you ever watch the guy that recreated that ride? There was a YouTube like 10 years ago. There was a video of him.
I did not see it.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah,
I might have to look for it. But
it's old now.
it's old now. Well, anything 10 years on the internet's old. Especially with technology and anything like that now. But he, so the militia knew, okay, they're going to come, but they knew they were coming for their guns. So here's the thing. Think about it. If another country came into America now and went to all the police and all the police departments and had them take away their guns, how would you feel?
That wouldn't happen.
That wouldn't happen. But that's the equivalent.
And if they tried, good luck.
Good luck. Right. But that was the equivalent of what the British were trying to do.
Right. Yeah.
So, of course, it's why it didn't happen.
Yeah.
The British were so used to rolling over all these individuals.
Well, I mean, at the time, nowadays, a lot of people have guns for self protection and
Self-defense.
and entertainment as well.
Entertainment, yes.
At that time, you had to have a weapon like that to survive, and the family. We didn't live on the king's soil, so you could go hunting.
Yeah.
It
was almost a necessity to hunt.
Yeah, it wasn't
if you
poaching.
didn't.
You go out and you get your food.
If your family didn't grow enough food or couldn't trade for enough resources,
Yes.
come near winter time, you went hunting or fishing.
Yeah, and you were either trapping or hunting for furs and
Well, they also
meat.
trapped a lot of game too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand. If you're starving, you're going to lay a trap for a deer for them to step into,
Yeah.
to kill it, to then eat it,
Yeah, and sell the pellet
and sell the pellet.
because there's a tanner down the street that'll buy it.
Or you can use it for yourself.
Yeah, you can tan it yourself,
Tan it yourself.
which isn't art. Stinky art, but it's art.
Very stinky. I wanted to just talk a little bit about that on why it's important, I believe, for individuals who can own guns.
Yeah,
Because it's not necessarily to defend yourself. It's not necessarily to fight back an invading army. It's a right.
it's also a deterrent.
It's a deterrent. Imagine if every American owned an AR-15. How would the government confiscate that?
They could,
They couldn't.
but not only that, but have you ever watched the videos about what would happen if somebody tried to invade the United States?
Yes.
One of the things that keeps other countries from even considering it, aside from the fact that we're ocean on three sides, is the fact that if they did gain a foothold in the military, it would be a Red Dawn situation because half the civilians are armed.
Right. No, you're right. But it also goes back to like similar things like the Revolutionary War. There was a lot of loyalists that were loyal to the crown.
Yeah.
And fought against the revolutionary colonists.
True.
Um,
And some that went back and forth like Benedict Arnold.
yes. And then there was some that were British that fought for the Americans. Even the French fought for the Americans.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to Fat Electrician talk about Davy Jones.
Yeah.
And that's a compelling story. That guy's got a lot of knowledge on military history.
Yeah.
But yes, it's just something I wanted to put out there to have people think about.
Sure.
The reason to own a firearm isn't necessarily because it's for defense or for protection, but it's our right, and in order to
Our government, that when the founding fathers put together the documentation that created our government, they used a system of checks and balances.
yeah.
So you got the three branches that check and balance each other, and they all have to answer to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Second Amendment, there's a reason it was not, it could have been the First Amendment, but
Could have been.
it's right up there. And the reason it's right up there is because that's a check and balance.
It is a check and balance, but also you were saying how it's all regulated by the people to a point. We in some counties in certain areas you do elect judges, but a federal judge is appointed by the president.
Right.
So there's no one checking these federal judges. And Congress is, but they're not. Congress is ineffective.
I agree.
Now, the problem with that is these judges are going and stopping Trump.
Now, did you follow at all the bill that they tried to put through Congress? Was it a week ago?
Yes.
So they tried. They failed.
They failed.
But that's because they just couldn't agree. But they're on the right track, and I don't think it's going to be a dead soldier. I think that they're gonna revive that, and they're gonna figure out how to make it happen. The problem is they're not agreeing on exactly how to rein them in and the legal way to control the federal judges. They all agree, even the Democrats agree that this is out of control. This has to slow down.
Right. Well, in a way, Trump's already doing it. He's just defying their orders.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, you can't defy a judge's order.
He's the president of the United States.
Right. And not only that, but all right, let's think about this with some of these judges, some of their decrees, because they're tyrants. Now, what I mean by that is one of their decrees is when they go to say, you can't deport so and so. They don't do it for one individual, they do it for everyone.
Right.
You can't do that. A judge can't just decree that everybody under this is protected.
Have you read the Alien Enemies Act of 1781?
I have not, but I've heard about it.
Okay.
And that's, you know, and it's just that these judges don't even know some of these things, and they're supposed to.
They haven't read it.
Right.
Obviously, they haven't read
it. But, you know, that's what these judges are trying to do. You can't. A judge is supposed to rule case by case basis,
right?
Not just generalized to everybody
without politics.
Without politics.
Yes.
But they're putting politics into it.
Yes, they are.
And that's the reason why judges weren't ever supposed to do anything political, because everything was supposed to be case by case basis, except for the Supreme Court.
And it should all be based upon the law.
Yes.
Not politics.
The law. You're right, not politics.
Yes.
But they're basing everything off politics and not the law.
And their personal opinions.
Personal opinions, right.
And a judge shouldn't even have a personal opinion.
No, they should not. And they're trying to say that the founding documents are living documents. They could be changed at the times of which is going on currently. No, they're dead documents.
They can be amended.
They can be amended, but they can't be changed. And they can't be, oh, this is my opinion of what they were referring to it as.
No.
No. Because you could say...
And a federal judge doesn't have an opinion.
No, they should not have an opinion.
They don't have an opinion. They can... The only way they can do anything is to rule on the law, and they have to have a case before them before they can rule.
Correct.
So filing a nationwide injunction when there's no case in front of you, okay, you're outside the law.
You're way outside the law. That's it for that topic. Mm-hmm. I felt like that was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I know I kind of went off the wheels a little bit talking about firearms and stuff, but it's just one of those kind of things. I keep thinking of, are we in some sort of cold civil war or whatever? And
I mean,
it feels like it.
You can argue it both ways.
Yeah.
I think that it's just the color revolution ramping up again,
which we're going to talk about in the next episode. So like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.
Doo-doo.